first no doesn't mean no forever. It just means that you need to show me more.
What are the similarities between stocks and real estate investments?
These people who buy today don't have the money to even carry on the payment plan.
Basically, there's two different asset classes, right? I always say stocks is more for your capital appreciation side of things.
Tokenization.
Having tokenization is very valuable for investors.
Most people just think they go online, they go into Google, they go into Wikipedia, and everything must be correct.
Yeah.
And ladies and gentlemen, it isn't. Hello and welcome to our latest edition of Novi Talks. Today I am ably helped by my assistant Jessica, who will help to eke out all the interesting parts of information from our guest today, who is Adesh Pawar. Welcome, Adesh.
Thank you, Mario. It's good to be here.
Now, before we go on, I need to say to everybody that Adesh is one of our good agents in Novi Properties. He covers the downtown area, Business Bay, transitioned from rentals into sales, and is absolutely killing it. So welcome to our chat show today. So I want to start straight away.
Yeah.
To the crux of who really Adesh is.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that from your high school, you turned a virtual 500,000 bond, and I say virtual, into 1.2 million.
Yeah.
How did you do that, and why did you do that?
That's a great question. I think a fun place to start. So yeah, I was in high school and we had this elective to take. It was a brand new course in our school on personal finance. So I thought, okay, that would be interesting. Let me sign up for that. And there was no curriculum. It was just a brand new course. So the professor, she said, okay, we're going to have this stock market competition hosted by RBC, Royal Bank of Canada.
Okay.
And all of our students, we got a chance to invest in the stock market. So we got to take a little bit of dab in that. And
so everybody had a budget. Is that
exactly
what it was? And the budget was 500,000?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, that's a good budget. You know,
That's
I would have given
crazy.
you just $10.
We don't even have that in the UK though. To experience that in Canada was amazing.
Really?
Yeah.
How come?
I don't know.
It's
Blame the
it's a
UK.
poorer country. It's okay.
Yeah. We'll
Carry
talk
on.
about Canada. Tell us your story.
So yeah, I mean, that time then I was like going all into it. You know, I was reading up about companies, about stocks, how the whole thing works. And at the time, there was a biotech company that was doing clinical trials for one of their cancer drugs. And they were in the final stages. And during that time, I thought, okay, might be a good opportunity to invest. So I invested a significant sum into that company.
So
and
you diversify. You didn't put all of it into that one company.
I don't remember exactly, but I put a significant amount. I can't remember exactly how much I put in there. But that company during that time because the competition.
What was the time frame?
Yeah, it was only for 1 month. It was only
So
for
you
a
had
month.
30 days, 31 days to grow the
Exactly.
product.
And the whole point of the exercise was for us to get, familiar with it, just to learn the basics. Not
Quick
really
question. When you
into it.
invested, could you take out during that 30 days? Take out, put in?
Yeah.
Or was it like you just put it in once and had to wait?
Yeah, exactly. So it simulates the real world. So whatever was happening in the stock market at the time with
So you
all
could
stock
move things
prices,
around.
yeah, it was the same thing. It's just the currency was virtual. So just give you an idea of how things work. So yeah, I invested in that company. During that time, the clinical trials were a success and the stock just skyrocketed. And so I just happened to be on the good side of it.
Okay.
Wow.
So was that the one that tipped you over, or did some of the others that you invested lose money? Was my question. I mean, or did everything you put in increase?
Yeah, the other two stocks I bought was Apple and Tim Hortons. So those were pretty much stable. They didn't go up much. But
I guess they didn't lose.
No, they didn't lose much. It was more or less the same. But that was the one that really kicked off.
Amazing. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So it wasn't it wasn't luck then. You did think about what was going to happen regarding these trials. You knew about the trials. So does that mean you had insider dealing?
No, not exactly. It was all
not exactly. So it means you might have done.
No, it was all based on public information.
Okay, I'm only joking.
Just lots of research then.
Yeah.
Ah.
So yeah, some people were telling me that this is something that some of the strategies that like the top hedge funds use. So I thought, okay, let me just try it out, see if it happens.
So what was the prize? They turned half the winnings into real cash, or what was? Or was it just kudos that you won the prize.
No, so what happened was, so at the end of the competition, I remember walking into class and I saw like the board was up with all the results and I was like at the top. And even I was shocked. I didn't expect it to be this crazy. And it happened to be that it was a national wide competition. So in the complete
Oh.
nation, I was in the top 10.
Oh wow.
Top 10 out of the whole of Canada.
Yeah, yeah.
Canada's massive. I know that when you look at the size of the land mass and the population, it's kind of disproportionate, but
Yeah.
it's still a big country. So that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't know
guess
that. I didn't know that about you.
yeah, that's exactly what kickstarted my passion and my drive for doing finance.
So then you went into university to study finance, or what was the
Exactly.
next stage?
Yeah, the next stage, because that was in my senior year of high school. So then after that, I started university. I did my bachelor's in accounting finance, and then I was like, okay, I want to do masters as well, and just go into the investment world. But what happened was around the time when I finished, COVID happened. So then I joined the CFA program, which is kind of like a master's equivalent, especially in the UK. They consider it as a master's in finance, but it's more in depth. So they go into more of the investment side of things. So basically,
As to where to put your money, or
just the whole process, like
Thinking
from A to Z. How do you
analyticals.
figure out what's the right investment? What are the key things you need to look out for? How do you prepare projections? Or
from a point of view of
Yeah.
consultancy to then help others? You mean?
absolutely.
Okay.
Like for example, in the US or in many parts of the world, you need to be regulated, or you need to be licensed with the regulatory authorities to be able to, give out issue investment advice to clients. So it was basically along those lines of curriculum and the body of knowledge that you learn from it.
Okay. So
It was like the Wolf of Wall Street in Canada for you, basically. Would that work?
I mean, Wolf of Wall Street, that guy was more on the stock broking side.
Oh,
So
okay.
he would just facilitate transactions, kind of like what we do with real estate.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, okay.
exactly. Okay. So kind of what got you into real estate then? Did you hit a wall in finance? Did you pivoted into real estate then, or
Yeah,
tell me the story, because you've been here a while, haven't you?
yeah. So my parents and my family, we moved here in 2004, 2005. So my dad landed a job at Arabtech, which was the top constructing
Construction,
company at the time. So I did my schooling here, did my university here. Briefly, I'd gone to Canada for high school. And
Here is in Dubai, or was it Abu Dhabi?
It was in Dubai.
It was
It
in
was in
Dubai.
Dubai. Yeah, I pretty much lived my whole time in downtown and Business Bay. So
Born
Hence
and
why you
bred.
picked that area. Yeah, of
exactly.
course.
So so what happened was I was working investment banking, and then I switched over to investment management in Indian stock markets. So there were clients who wanted to invest in India.
But still here, obviously.
Yeah, from here, that wanted support and consultancy on that. However, I was starting to hit a natural roadblock because getting access to clients was becoming difficult. So that's when I thought, okay, I want to do my own business. I've always wanted to do my own business. So I was like, okay, how can I get access to clients? So in Dubai, as we know, investors mostly invest in real estate. So that's when I connected the two, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna take this step and see what happens.
So I've got to ask the question: do you see yourself as a real estate broker or as as a wealth advisor? Because I know the two probably are kind of similar if
Mhm.
you dig deep and really give that advice. But is it, do you still wear your finance head on, or are you what I would call a real estate agent 100%?
Yeah, I definitely still do the investment stuff all the time. So I'm still having that going, but now I've just added another layer on top of it, which is Dubai real estate, right? So I come from an advisory perspective where I advise clients on, based on the requirements and based on what they're looking for, is what would be the best investment for them. That's why I work better with investors.
I was going to say your main buyers tend to be investors rather
Yeah.
than end users.
Absolutely.
You are the polar opposite to me from the point of view of how we work. I'm more touchy-feely, oh, this feels great. I can see myself living in this apartment.
Yeah.
You hit them with the numbers. You hit them with the income. You hit them with the return on investment. What can I rent it for? What are the service charges? What's the projection? We might go on to talk about the what did we call it?
A dashboard.
dashboard.
Yeah.
As opposed to the dashboard, the dashboard, which actually for the viewers is a platform that Adesh has sort of developed that shows what projection figures could be of a specific property, given current trends and perhaps even future trends, and what it could be rented for, what the service charges are likely to be given inflation. I mean, there's a hell of a lot of numbers in there. I mean, it's way over my head, I have to say. But when I did see it, oof, I was blown away that, from an investment point of view, somebody can actually look at a property and think, okay, in 5 years' time, where is it likely to be? I'm sure you've got some caveats there,
Absolutely.
but where it's likely to be, and that then will give people the understanding of whether they should go ahead with that particular investment today, or perhaps seek something else. I mean, that's it in a nutshell, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
How are we developing that, or what's going on?
So I use it for specific properties. So say, for example, there's a client who's looking to invest and is looking at different options. So this allows me to, in essentially one, view, you're able to see, okay, option A, what's the return? Option B, what's the return? Option C, and then over the long term, which one is going to give the most appreciation if the investor is more on the appreciation side, and which one is going to give me that consistent ROI if they're on the ROI side in terms of rental income and cash.
But it's powered by AI, as I remember. Is that right?
Exactly. There's a bit of integration of AI, but I think over time we're going to be developing more with the help of AI.
Sure. I, as you are well aware, I'm a bit cynical about, AI and things.
Yeah.
Especially the other day when I not Googled myself, I AI'd myself. Actually, it was ChatGPT. I put my name in it and asked.
Yeah.
I asked AI to answer a question, how I would answer it regarding rental laws, and it gave me a load of rubbish. Actually, it did not tell me the correct law. So that really made me worry that what we see online, I know we're digressing a little bit here, but it's important because most people just think they go online, they go into Google, they go into Wikipedia, and everything must be correct.
Yeah.
And ladies and gentlemen, it isn't, so do your due diligence. I was shocked that this computer, this robot, this AI bot, whatever you want to call it, thought that Mario Volpi thought that law said XYZ, when actually that wasn't the case. So with that in mind, before it goes out, I mean, how do you check the numbers? I know you might not have the answer to that, but how do you police it in some respects?
So before I send it out, so like I said, we were talking about a specific property. So we're looking at obviously access to Property Monitor and DXB Interact. So I make sure that before I send it out, because this is essentially what I'm sending out, this is my final say on it.
But even DXB Interact, we found out the other day there was an error on it. They talked about the biggest sale on the Palm. They called it a villa, when in fact it was a plot. Now I know that's small, but a villa is a house, a plot is a piece of land.
Exactly.
So, you mentioned DXB Interact, and I don't want to rubbish anybody here, but again, we have to check and double check. And sometimes it's difficult to do that. But
I agree.
I know you're checking these things, but
exactly.
Sure you do your due diligence.
I mean, we do the best we can with what we have. So I always tell that to investors, okay, where this information is coming from. So beforehand, they're aware that, okay, this is from credible sources. Obviously, it can never be 100% accurate, right? I mean, there can be errors from the DLD system as well. Not saying that there are, but there can be those cases. So it's very hard to verify data 100%. But as best of an estimate as we can use, that's what we try to strive for.
So now that you're fully in to real estate, right? Do you find that the real estate world is more transactional than you thought, or less? What's your take on that?
Yeah, it's a good question, because when I joined, so I joined in 2024 March, and some of my friends or some of my family members thought I was too late. That I missed the growth in terms of the brokerage side. I missed the boat. But the way I look at it, so I operate in downtown and Business Bay, right? So for me, what I've observed is there are only more projects continuing to come in within these areas, especially Business Bay. We always see Business Bay in the top 5 of most transactions and most amount of sale volume. So I think I actually have arrived at the perfect time. And I'm starting to notice that if I compare myself to the quality of service that's being offered by other agents, there's no comparison, right? I mean, you can't compare my 10 years of investment advisory over someone who just joined the real estate game. Not to say that they cannot succeed, but I'm just saying my path is extremely different as opposed to the general pathway that is from real estate brokerage.
You've kind of already preempted kind of our next question, because as an investment advisor, a wealth advisor, I'm not going to say stockbroker, but whatever, all that financial backing, and a real estate agent, would you say that you're more valuable? But you've kind of answered that question, because in some respects you are, because you've got 2 hats on here. you can be the Mario touchy-feely, isn't this a nice kitchen? And, can you see yourself cooking here or whatever type of approach. But then you go into a different gear because you can then start to talk to investors and say, look, if you're in this for growth, if you're in this for return on investment, if you want an exit strategy, you can offer all of those things to the client, which in some respects I can't.
Yeah.
And I've never professed to even want to do that type of thing. And in some respects, it's good that we have different people in different roles because, dare I say, if everybody was like me, it'd be a nightmare. But with respect, if everybody was like you, it'd be a nightmare as well.
It would be a nightmare.
So
but if we were giving everyone financial advice, and everyone would be losing their money.
Prices wouldn't go up as high.
So we would need to have that balance as anything. But for sure, you must see yourself as a more valuable asset to the client.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the good thing is right now we're seeing a lot of investors come from around the world. Right. And me as an investment advisor, my primary objective is to be up to date on everything that's going on around the world. I mean, everything in the sense, everything that impacts the finance world or the investment world. Right. So, for example, if economic policies are being impacted in those countries, it's good for me to have that knowledge so that when I'm having those conversations with clients, I can tell them, look, this is going to impact your business. If you're doing a business that is, operating in that economy or having something to do with Dubai. And so this helps you to diversify your portfolio. So even if your business doesn't do well, at least this real estate asset will perform for you. So it kind of offers a bit of a natural hedge. So these are the kind of insights that I can give to clients, which, allows me to serve them at a higher level.
How are you received? How does the client, and how do you even open it up? I'm talking about to let them know who Adesh is from the point of view of the financial side. Or do you just hit them with, hey, my background is this, let's talk numbers?
So actually it comes up naturally. So I would ask them, okay, what do you do for work? So a lot of times I end up meeting people from the finance world.
Yeah, okay, perfect. My worst nightmare.
So yeah, that's just naturally how it comes out. Then I tell them, oh yeah, I also worked in investment banking and investment management. So I was like, oh, okay. So that natural curiosity then just tends to flow into the conversation.
So what do you do when you meet someone like me as a client?
No, then I try not to bring it up as much because I know it's going to scare you a little bit or bore you.
Yeah, a bit of both. To be honest with you. Listen, I've never been short in coming forward to say that's your world and it's not mine, but it's a very important part of your world and our world, of course.
Right. Yeah, that's very true. And I think operating in my area also gives me access to people who work or who own from DIFC. But then that also helps me build relationships.
I was going to say, you cover the DIFC area?
Well, I don't cover it per se, but I do have some clients that do operate in business in DIFC.
Well, given the amount of financial people there and accountants, why not? Why don't you cover DIFC? Or is that just one place too many in terms of specialization? Because Business Bay is huge.
Yeah.
Downtown obviously is big.
Yeah.
DIFC is not so big, but you're just adding to it.
Exactly. And I think naturally I will get there because I have been keeping tabs on the DIFC commercial side, right? We were expecting commercial space in DIFC to expand a lot. So I think, and given that a lot of hedge funds and a lot of financial companies from around the world are coming to Dubai, I think that natural entry for me will open up. So that's when I can probably look to get in. Yeah.
Cool.
I was actually going to ask like someone else like me, I don't have a finance background or know much, but in general, other brokers that are into sales, do you think that they try and almost do you think they even understand the money situation for clients that are long-term investors, whereas you have a different outlook on it? Do you think people that are just a general sales broker that don't know about finance, what do you think their game is in real estate?
Yeah, I think the kind of advice that I've seen sales brokers give are more of a reflection of what they've experienced. So for example, if they have seen, people just spend like crazy, buying expensive things, then that's what they're going to do. And that's what they're going to kind of, mold in themselves into, if you will. But then me personally, like my passion and everything that I do in finance is driven by the fact that I genuinely want people to achieve financial freedom. So even with brokers, I'm always giving them, advice on what kind of stocks they should buy. I mean, whoever comes up to me. But in terms of brokers, I have seen, especially in our company, that a lot of our brokers do practice good financial habits. And that's something I'm very happy and excited about. But I think as a general, as an industry, we need to be doing a lot more on that front.
So for the purpose of the viewers, right? Any tips? I mean, what should we be looking at? Can we talk crypto, or is that
I dabbled in crypto in 2020, 2021, but now I'm kind of away from it. I just don't understand it.
We have a lot of crypto kings in Dubai.
Yeah. So, but what
into.
about, going back to your high school days, you're saying you had an eye on that particular stock, anybody watching this who does play the stock market a little bit, should we be looking at what should we be looking at?
So right now I'm very actively looking at US stock markets and India stock markets. I think India in its own way is going to be the future in terms of a lot of millennials and entrepreneurs are going to be coming out of there as millionaires, and they're going to be looking to invest. And a lot of people are starting up their own companies, and they're already turning out to be huge successes there. So I think that's a space to definitely look into. But I understand for a lot of people, especially people who don't have an Indian passport, who don't have access to Indian markets, it's difficult. So that's when I say, okay, look at the US market. So right now I'm seeing some pickup coming up, some opportunities coming up in the retail space. So I had recently invested in Nike. It went extremely well. So I had invested a few months back at $52, $53, and now it's already at 76.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, so that one is doing really well. And I had invested in Disney as well about 8 months ago. It came to a very attractive price. And I was like, okay, I need to at least try and buy some and see what happens. So that's what I like to do. I like to participate. A lot of people think yes or no. I think, okay, how much? Should I go extremely high and invest a lot of sums of money, or should I go like minimal?
You talked about Disney there. When Disney announced that they were going to build the next theme park in the Middle East and in Yas Island of all places, so it's amazing for the UAE. Did you see a spike in the price?
Not initially,
did it go down,
but not initially. But right now it's at a 52-week high. So basically, in the past year, the current price is at the highest price it's been.
And what did you put that down to?
I had bought it at about $88.
No, what do you put the spike down to? Why has Disney all of a sudden gone up? Is there a new Star Wars film coming out or something?
No, not exactly. It's mostly based on their projections of future profit and future revenues. Okay. So a lot of people are now seeing that, okay, the company has turned some things around with their management, with their business model, and that's going to be providing more operational leverage, if you will, for them. So they're going to be performing a lot better.
I think for Disney to kind of make the money that they're expecting in the Middle East, they're going to have to build this thing predominantly indoors, I would have thought. A little bit like Ferrari World, where it's pretty much all indoors, apart from La Rossa when it goes out.
Exactly.
When it's
just a little bit of sun that you get from it.
Because, it can be quite brutal in the summer. So you've got to be pretty diehard Disney fan to wear your Mickey Mouse ears in 45-degree heat outside.
Probably melt.
Yeah, exactly.
So what's the end game for you now? Someone that's going to be managing properties or managing wealth across different industries within Dubai or globally?
I absolutely love that question, because this was the first thing that Brian asked me when I just joined the company back in August.
For the purpose of the viewers, tell them who Brian is.
Yeah, absolutely. So Brian is our leasing director. At the time, he was my leasing manager when I started at Navi back in August of last year. And we had our first one-to-one. And honestly, that also felt like a podcast because it was so natural. I don't know, something about our conversations is just, it feels very cool. But so he asked me, okay, well, what's your long-term thing? And I told him, look, I see myself setting up a private office with Navi. Like I told him straight out.
Interesting.
Yeah. So kind of like I've seen a couple of agencies do that. I can't remember their specific names, but those are the ones that handle like ultra high net worth.
You mean
clients.
like a family office, you mean?
Yeah, but more on the real estate side, right? Because we're operating out of the real estate industry, but definitely providing more holistic investment solutions. So for example, let's take yourself, Jessica, that you've got your, let's say $100 million portfolio, right? So instead of having
$100 million,
I can buy a penthouse upstairs.
Yeah, there's a penthouse for sale here.
Right? That's just under $25 million, right?
I was actually just thinking, if you're making like an office in the Novi, it needs to be a caption song of looking for a guy in finance, property.
Oh my
XYZ,
goodness.
do you know?
There she is thinking about TikTok videos again. You know? That was the last podcast.
I was just thinking, I could just imagine you doing that.
Yeah, do you know what, actually? Yeah, it's that song, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where all the girls say a different word. Finance.
Something like that.
Then real estate.
You can say a word, real estate. You can say the real estate word.
Yeah. He can be real estate, I can be
Sorry,
finance.
we digress. He's trying to be serious. He's trying to give a serious answer. And we're hijacking
I just try not
this.
to laugh. I just imagined you doing it. I'm sorry. I'll go back to
Family
rent
offices.
game.
No, of
Go.
course, of course. So yeah, you've got let's say $100 million of worth of assets, basically.
Amazing.
Right? You've got your private bankers, you've got your accountants, you've got your lawyers, and everything, right? So you kind of need someone who's looking after all of them, right?
Okay.
So for example, let's say you've got some investment in real estate, you've got some in stocks, you've got some in fixed income, right? So managing all of that, you need someone that you can trust completely with your entire portfolio, not just a part of it. Because what I've observed sometimes is people would rather just work with one person rather than working with multiple different managers. And there can be a lot of misinformation and misguidance at times as well, because everyone's got their own opinion. But if you've got someone you trust completely and you know that they're going to look after your money in the best way possible, then it just makes more logical sense to work with that one person, right? So that's kind of where I see myself being as like an investment manager or investment advisor, but just handling, bigger sums of money and bigger, investment portfolios that have all these complexities, right? Where you've invested all across the world. You're not just investing in Dubai, you've invested across different asset classes and for different purposes. So that's where I kind of see myself doing that, including and having a major focus in Dubai real estate.
So the good news is Novi's not going to lose you then to a competitor who's going to open up, because we're going to hopefully do it in-house.
It's going to be called 365 Finance.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. Amazing.
Yeah, but I want it to happen naturally, I want to build my resume and get there, but I know my end goal.
These things take time. I mean, exactly. When we say an end goal, it doesn't mean it's going to be next month, next year. It could be 5 years, it could be 10 years down the line. Because when you're talking about finance, for sure, the client needs to see a marathon CV.
Absolutely.
Yeah? Not a sprint, It's got to see the longevity. Who have you worked with? What advice have you given? What have been your successes? We started this podcast purely and simply talking about a success in that virtual stock exchange that you won. And I think that then will give a safety net, will give assurances to the client that the person they're dealing with initially, because it's a people business. You might have a name above the door, whether it's Novi or whatever, but ultimately, who is Adesh? What advice has he given? And what successes has he delivered? Because if your advice has been rubbish, no one wants to know, correct?
Exactly. That's why I did all my training in finance, to make sure that I have all the tools necessary to give the best advice. And one thing I learned during that journey is the importance of trust. When you have someone's trust, you get everything that you need, and they'll give it to you without any questions asked. Like when we talk about, for example, negotiations with sellers or with buyers for agency commission, for example, if you're in a position where you have that complete trust, I don't think that conversation would ever come up, right? Correct. Because people know that even if you are to take some of that money, you know that in the long term, you're still going to be making them a lot more money. It just makes more sense to work on a long-term basis than work on a transactional basis.
So we deal with people literally on a daily basis where we don't know them and they don't know us. So given what you've just said, how do you quickly show them that you are that trustworthy person? How do you actually come across to say, look, stick with me because this is the long run and I'm going to do X, Y, Z for you? Because at the beginning, it's just words.
Right. Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
So I know in time that can be demonstrated, but
absolutely.
But how do you then lock that person in to a second phone call or a third or whatever to keep them talking to Adesh rather than just, someone else, or, what do you do?
This is a question I'm trying to solve every single day, because every client is so different.
Of course.
For example, on that first phone call, they're open to having a meeting. And then when you're at the meeting, that's when you can show yourself as a genuine person, and what it is that you can provide for them, right? And that comes out. I think it's a confidence thing. It's a gut feeling as well. When I'm sitting across someone and I can easily tell based on how they are, their body language, their tonality, their ability of what they're talking about. So that's there. But there's also those clients which are always very hesitant because of those bad experiences. So giving them that time and space to recognize that, yeah, they've had bad experiences. Let's take it baby steps. So that one step that we would take from a phone call to a meeting, I'd break it down to like 10 baby steps. Right? Where I'll spend a day just talking about figures. I'll spend a day just talking about our services that we provide, spending some time talking about why we're different as opposed to the other brokerages. Why did we start in the first place? Because I really align with Navi's, backstory and the vision that is set out in the company. So I think that's another reason why I work so well with Navi as a partner, because I look at myself as a partner with Navi, and that we're partnering up together on this journey.
We're always, as managers, trying to get agents to get a meeting, set up that meeting, set up that FaceTime. Sometimes it's harder. It's easier said than actually done, because people are busy in Dubai. There's so many other people calling them. Why should I spend half an hour with you over a coffee? Do you find it quite easy to get meetings if you're doing these kind of baby step calls to show them who you are before you set up that meeting, or you find that it's quite difficult as well?
Yeah, I wouldn't say my success rate is the best, but the point is I always keep making that effort. I'm always the person who is going to make that effort no matter what, even if they first say no, because we know that that first no doesn't mean no forever. It just means that you need to show me more. Okay. That's the way I see it. So then I need to show them more and demonstrate. Like for example, with Beirut recently, I was the top spot for one of my sub communities within downtown. Amazing. So now I'm taking that screenshot and sending it over to all my clients that I've worked with in the past.
Again, to show trust. Yeah,
exactly. It's just another, small baby step, or another small factor that I can use that's in my arsenal to be able to build that trust and bridge that gap.
Do you use the Dubai Property podcast at all as a tool to tell, your clients that actually you're a famous person, in the airways or the audio waves? I mean, have you told anybody of your clients that sometimes tune in?
I think you'd be more famous if you did the TikTok dance.
Probably.
She does have a point. I mean, today's generation. But yeah, I think with the podcast, I'm afraid if I show it to people, they may want to come and talk to you.
Oh,
no,
shows something.
I'm just kidding.
Okay. Well,
because you're more famous. That's the point.
I just wanted to go to this topic. I know we've spoken about it briefly already, but I just wanted to understand with your experience in both real estate and obviously stocks.
Yeah.
What are the similarities between stocks and real estate investments?
Yeah. So basically, there's two different asset classes, right? I always say stocks is more for your capital appreciation side of things, whereas real estate is more for your cash flow, your income. So if you're looking to generate consistent, regular income every month or every quarter or every year, you would go for, real estate. But if you're someone who's like looking to buy today, sell after a couple of years, you're willing to be patient, then I would recommend going for stocks. So that's one thing, but they are similar because it's a long-term horizon time frame, like your investment. Like you don't invest in real estate for a couple of years and then look to get out. Ideally, in an ideal world, you're looking to look at investing at least for 10 years is what I always say. 10 years is a good time frame.
I'm laughing because a lot of investors here, they're buying today and they want to be out in 6 months and make like double their money. I mean, that's their vision, which depending on what happens in the world, sometimes, rarely, but sometimes it does happen. But you're right. It's a long game, and it should be a long game. Yeah. And when it's a long game, the investor always wins. These people who buy today don't have the money to even carry on the payment plan if it's off plan. Yeah. I think these are just chances. These are not really investors.
Speculations, right?
Very speculative buying. And then they're the ones that get into trouble because it does take time. No matter whether we're in a marketplace like we're in now, where in theory things selling out. Yeah, things sell out through developers, but secondary market off plan, sometimes it's tough to sell.
I'm facing that right now.
Exactly.
It's not been easy.
Because possibly the owner wants too much money. Buyers think, well, I'd prefer to buy it directly from the developer, as in first buy, rather than through, a secondary market, even though it might still be off plan. So that there are stigmatistic things onto that. And that's why I think if people have this strategy, they really have to think about it very carefully, because if you're in for just 6 months, you might be in for a bumpy ride.
Exactly. I mean, when you mentioned the point on off-plan resale being tough to sell, I like I said, I've been facing that challenge myself in downtown especially. And the number one issue is having that conversation, because there's about, like recently we saw, there's about 66% of the transactions happening in off-plan, right? And out of that, we're seeing about a launch a day or a launch a couple of days, if I'm being very conservative.
I think it's probably more than that, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many launches across so many different areas, across so many different developers, and across so many different product classes. Like you've got your branded residences, high-end luxury. You've got your beachfront, waterfront properties. and then everything else in between, the mid-tier, the affordable housing, right? So it is just so difficult now to differentiate as a developer, but more importantly, as a product. So if I'm selling off-plan resale, I've already kind of, put myself in a difficult position, because unless I can give them an attractive price, which only the seller can dictate. But other than that, if I'm giving them an attractive payment plan, but that's set by the developer, I can't do much on that front. So, and then of course there's the NOC restriction, where unless I pay 40% or 50%, I can't even look to think of reselling.
Correct.
So these kind of things limit a seller's potential or ability to sell. And then if you're talking 6 months, I mean, you probably just got the Akud, right?
Yeah.
From the time you registered the
Exactly.
SBA, and now your next payment is coming up, and you've only got the Akud, and now what? You want to sell.
But a lot of buyers get to that stage. Once they've got the Akud, they think that they're ready to sell it. But you've made some very good points. Listen, I want to touch on one last thing before we wrap up the show, and that's tokenization.
Yeah.
Now, this is a bit of a hot topic. We've had Damac, or should I say Pripco, who have launched the first one, and in fact the second one, which I understand took 1 minute 58 seconds to sell out, the second one.
Oh, yeah.
Ellington, I understand, are also now doing tokenization. But what's your take on that? What's your take on the whole part purchasing, if you like?
Yeah.
I'm not going to call it crowdfunding, because it's not. It's just
it's
the
not
ability to buy a portion of a property, especially in a rising market.
Absolutely.
So therefore opening up the market to someone with 2,000 dirhams, from my understanding.
Absolutely. In theory, it's similar to what we call fractional investing in stocks, right? So this also came about, I think, in the late 2000s, if I'm not mistaken, or late 2010s, where basically you have a stock, let's say, for example, Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett's stock. The grade A stock trades at above $300,000 per share.
Yes, it's expensive.
It's very expensive, right? Not everyone can afford that. So they came up with a couple of solutions. One is they have a Class B stock, which is much, much more affordable. But let's say you wanted that Class A stock, but you didn't have $300,000. Let's say you had maybe $300,000 or $3,000. So with fractional investing, you can buy 0.1% or 1% of that stock. I think there's certain minimum criteria, but that's essentially the concept, where you can buy a portion of one stock.
Okay.
So that allows you at least to get some exposure and participate into the stock market. Similarly, it's the case with real estate, because real estate is a high ticket item, right? You have prices in my area starting at 1.5 to 2 million dirhams for a basic one bed, and nowadays a basic studio. So in that aspect, having tokenization is very valuable for investors who are just starting out their investment journey, or someone who just graduated college, just had a bit of money saved up, but really wants to, invest in something. So I think that's very, very exciting for those kind of investors. And of course, there will be some investors who will be more on the speculative side of things, who will try to trade it like a stock.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's how it should be. It's not intended for that. And I don't know how the fees are going to work, with tokenization. I'm not really sure. We're going to figure that out as time goes. But I don't recommend investors going the tokenization route and then looking to trade it like a stock. Go that route, look to invest, and then look to build on it over time, right? But don't look to
hold on to it.
Hold on to it, right? Don't look to buy it today and then be like, yeah, I'm gonna tokenize, let's say, a villa on the, on a beach or on a waterfront community, and then look to sell it within 6 months. That's not what it's intended for. And if you do that, the market's actually going to hurt you rather than help you in achieving that.
Well, that's great advice, Adesh, and I think we'll leave it there. So thank you very much for coming onto the show today. Thank you, Jessica, for helping me ask these very difficult financial questions. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Tune in next time, where we'll have another interesting guest. Don't forget to comment, like, and of course, subscribe. Until then, thanks very much, and thank you for listening to Novi Talks.